I now call to order the April 19th, 2023 Chico Unified School District Board of Education regular meeting. We will be going into closed session at this time and will return to open session at 6 p.m. Good evening. We are returning to open session. We were in closed session since 5 p.m. Sorry, let me just acknowledge. Welcome. It's much fuller, more full room than it was when I was in here at 5. This is the regular meeting for the Chico Unified School District Board of Education for April 19th, 2023. In closed session, we took action. The first note is that the board voted unanimously in closed session to appoint John Shepard to the position of Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources. Our second note of action was that the board voted unanimously to reject bodily injury claim number 230091. With that, we will move to the next item, which would be the flag salute. So please stand if you're not already standing. Salute pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And next is student reports.
Well, we have some amazing talent signed up for tonight, and as you can see them right behind me, I am going to ask Emily Mullins, principal of Hooker Oak, to introduce her students and entertain us.
All right, well, it is a pleasure to be here tonight, as always. I'm so excited to be able to showcase a little bit of Chico's hidden gem with you, Hooker Oak School and our Mighty Oaks. So just real briefly, I wanted to share with you some of the awesome ways that our 4th and 5th grade students are able to have voice in our school by taking leadership positions. We have 3 opportunities for students to really shine. We have the students who are able to participate in our leadership class. So if you are in leadership, if you want to raise your hand and show us who you are. So our leadership students, they put on our life skills video that gets broadcast and shown to all of our students every Monday morning. We have a different life skill that we highlight every week, and they put on a skit and a definition and provide support in educating all of our students about those life skills. We also have students who were able to apply to be a student ambassador this year. So if you're a student ambassador, can you raise your hand and be shown? So our student ambassadors are kind of like the public relations of Hooker Oak School, the face of our school. So they join me when we do school tours for potential families and students who are going to come join our campus. And they also have gone out into the community to promote our schools by going to local preschools and distributing flyers. And again, just really being that student public relations face of our school. They also are connected to new students who join our school and help educate the students on what it's like to be a Hooker Oak student. And finally, we have Principals Advisory Board, which it consists of 1st through 5th graders. So Principals Advisory Board, if you're on that, raise your hand. And these guys meet with me 1 to 2 times a month, and we review our Kelvin Pulse data, kind of looking at the pulse of the school together. They bring any issues to me. We talk about what's going well at the school, things that need to be improved, and they have been responsible for implementing many awesome things at our school this year. So I just wanted to give a shout out to all those kids who've been involved in those positions. And then I have 4 students who are in these groups who wanted to share what they think really makes our school unique. And then we're going to end with a rendition of our Hooker Oak song.
Hi, my name is Jude Jones. Hooker Oak is an amazing learning space for kids to come to because we are a hands-on learning community. Hooker Oak is inclusive and my school of choice.
Hi, my name is Peyton White, and I've gone to Hooker Oak since kindergarten. And what makes Hooker Oak so special is its hands-on learning space that anyone is welcome to join. Also, our school has many extracurricular activities like school plays, sports, electives, and gardening. That is why I love this school so much. Thank you.
Hi,
Hi, my name's Glenn Berger. I go to Hooker Oak School. I am in the 4th grade. I love Hooker Oak School because we loop. That means we get to stay with the same teacher for 2 years, for 4th and 5th grade, and 1st grade and 2nd grade.
Hi, I'm Kendall Dennis, and Hooker Oak School is a great place to go to school because it is a safe and responsible community.
Thank you. And I would like to introduce Kim Gimbel. For those of you who don't know Kim, he worked in the district for many years, retired from Chico Unified, was our music teacher at the end of his career. And before he left, I made him promise that he would write a song about Hooker Oak. And so we're so excited. This is the first time we've been able to publicly present it.
Hi, everybody. Great to be here. Really excited to be asked to do this. Mrs. Cisneros has honor band tonight. She's the current music teacher and couldn't be here. So she called me up a week or so ago and said, hey, do you think you could, since you wrote the song anyway and I can't be there, could you come down and do this Hooker Oak School song with the kids at the board meeting? And I said, sure, I'd be delighted. So just a brief background. The original version of the song was entitled Mexico, which I wrote in Mexico, and it started off, to the beaches down in Mexico, down the cactus-bordered road I go. So when Emily asked me to write this song, I worked, couldn't really think of anything, and I thought, wait a minute, I think I have the melody already, and I'll just switch the words around to, down the halls of Hooker Oak I go, so much to learn, so much to know, and we went on from there. So we'll perform it for you now. And you have the words in front of you. And you have the words, yes. Okay, guys.
Thank you to Mr. Gimbel and our Hooker Oak singers. That was wonderful. Thank you, Ms. Mullins. So I'm just going to keep this rolling, and we are going to jump into our recognition portion. And I would like to invite up, who am I inviting? Chris Weaver from McManus Elementary. Didn't see you.
Here.
While you're prepping, I just want to give one more shout out to those folks from Hooker Oak. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Good job. Thank you.
just want to share a little bit that I'm a former Hooker Oak student and McManus student, so have pride for both schools. All right. Okay, board members, Superintendent Staley, Chico Unified staff, and guests, good evening, and thank you for allowing me time this evening to recognize not one, but two of the McManus family members who happen to be fantastic human beings and educators who consistently go above and beyond to promote positive student outcomes. To begin, I'd like to invite Emily Coons up. Emily, come on down. Okay, so Emily Coons has an impressive professional teaching history of serving the Chico community for the past 30 years. As a dynamic general education teacher, Emily has taught grades 1st through 6th in many schools throughout Chico Unified. She also has supported student learning as a Title I teacher. Because of her love for teaching reading, Emily went back to school in 2010 to obtain her mild mod special education credential. And ever since 2012, she has been advocating and supporting for student success at McManus, her home. With an impressive profile, you might be thinking Emily is near perfect. Well, tonight I'm willing to look past the fact that Emily is a Chico High Panther at heart and instead focus on what truly makes her great. So just a little fun fact, each year during Almond Bowl week, Emily and I showcase our high school pride with a little friendly trash talk. In all seriousness, Emily's acute awareness and understanding of the importance of forming meaningful relationships is truly what sets her apart as an educational specialist. I can't think of anyone who cares more and tunes into all needs of her children than Emily. On any given day in room 21 at McManus, Emily checks in with her students and zeroes in on social, emotional, and behavior needs before attending to academic instruction. Her knowledge of indicators that interfere with students accessing academics exemplifies Emily's caring and compassionate nature, as well as her deeply rooted understanding that students learn best when they feel safe and supported. In her classroom, they thrive. Due to earning mutual respect and trust with students, Emily not only helps to remove barriers and improve the quality of life for all of her students, she also gently advises and sympathetically empowers students by encouraging them to practice mindfulness, assess and identify what zone they are in, take a brain break, possibly check in with a trusted staff member, or exercise. Her patience allows her to work through each student's unique challenges. Simply put, Emily embodies and personifies our board-adopted goals in the MTSS framework. Understanding the critical importance of her role at McManus, Emily is continuously devoted to increasing her worth to support students outside of the classroom as well. Ask any principal and they will tell you that having people on their team that are naturally collaborative and understand shared leadership is second to none. Emily does the most important work and it does not shrink her responsibilities. For the past 2 years, along with our PBIS team, Emily has combed through the tiered fidelity inventory to promote a positive climate and culture at McManus. Framing ideas to promote a community growth mindset, Emily is an idea generator, and she helps to create language such as expected and unexpected behaviors in our learning community. Emily is also an invaluable member of McManus's SBIT PLC team. Twice a month, she and 3 other extremely dedicated staff members respond to school-wide student data and student-specific needs. Furthermore, her time spent learning about and implementing curriculum for students with dyslexia has also been a complete game changer at McManus. Also, in her 2nd year of learning and applying the science of reading principles and components, Emily's depth of knowledge and understanding the most effective approaches for teaching students to read is highly valuable. Drawing strength from her family and faith, Emily's love for her husband Jim, her daughters Eliza Kate, Julia, and her son Jake allows her to get the very best out of her students. It is an honor and a privilege to recognize Emily Coons as a recipient of the Superintendent's Award. Sorry, I'm long-winded.
All right. Okay. Jim's going to grab a picture. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Emily. All right. All right, continuing with our fantastic human being celebration here, I'd like to invite Laura Peterbaugh up, please. So, Laura has to be the most grounded and down-to-earth person I know. Her strong connection of who she is speaks to her self-awareness and balanced personality. It is my belief that Laura's intrapersonal strength and positive mindset are the reasons why she is such a standout. Being a true practitioner of the moment, Laura chooses to direct her attention in areas that positively advocate for compassion. Selflessly, she shares her experiences, insight, and wisdom to promote emotional resilience for others to enjoy life. One of my favorite mindfulness techniques Laura advocates for those who are experiencing something difficult or feeling a bit stuck centers around an acronym, RAIN. Recognize your experience, allow it to be as it is, investigate it with curiosity, and nurture it with self-compassion. Utilizing this technique has been a game changer for me, and I'm certain I'm not the only one Laura has encouraged to practice. Bringing with her such valuable personal qualities and experiences, Laura is an amazing professional as well. Because of her intrapersonal gift, Laura understands on such a deep level how to interact and connect effectively with others. Working as a school psychologist since 2005, Laura finds great joy in working with school families. However, working directly with students is where she really shines. Currently, Laura also supports students and families at Loma Vista and Sierra View. In all settings on campus, Laura engages with students and certainly does not shy away from a good challenge. Even with the most self-determined student who may struggle to communicate what he or she needs or wants, Laura patiently waits for an opening, validates the student's experience, and ultimately builds a solid foundation for a trusting relationship. After spending quality and necessary time with students she works with, Laura gathers and analyzes data to identify student strengths and challenges. One of her many gifts is facilitating safe, courageous, and honest meetings. Upon sharing her findings, IEPs at McManus typically begin with Laura delicately setting the stage and creating a mood and tone that quite honestly makes everyone feel like they are sitting together at a table in the home of the family we are gathering with. Speaking with words as well as through the inaudible language of the heart, Laura opens with a story or an interaction she had with a child prior to testing, often giggling as she shares a simple yet noticeable, endearing description of the child. Families immediately relax and realize they are in extremely caring and helpful hands. Involving herself in many aspects of life, campus life, Laura is also a highly valued member of the McManus PBIS team. As an advocate for being preventative and proactive rather than reactive, Laura's contributions are invaluable. Also, as a member of McManus' School Equity Accountability Team and Site Committee Team, Laura has been a tremendous advocate for students with special needs, specifically during the design process for our new and upcoming campus. Other teams and committees Laura serves and contributes to at McManus include SBIT PLC and our wellness team. Outside teams, Laura's door is always open to anyone who needs support, always willing to hold a safe space for her school family to talk, process, or just catch up. Laura is a champion for us all. While caring for her McManus family is very important to her, I would like to give a special thanks to Laura's family, including her husband Zeb, their daughter Grace, and their son Owen for sharing her with us. Speaking on behalf of our whole school family, we are grateful. Laura, tonight I want to sincerely thank you for your continued contributions as well as congratulate you on receiving the Superintendent's Award.
So again, congratulations to Emily, Laura, and thank you, Chris, for sharing these outstanding employees with us. And with that, I will turn it over to the president.
Alrighty, we are on item number 6, announcements. At this time, I would like to ask if any of our board members have announcements to make. I'll make a quick announcement. This Saturday is Earth Day. And so I'm sure there's lots of opportunities to celebrate Earth and all that we get to enjoy from Earth and engaging in environmental efforts. I do know that Butte Environmental Council is hosting a Walk for Earth in the morning, so starting at Children's Park in downtown Chico. which is the park that's adjacent to the university. There are several schools that are participating, many charter schools, I cannot remember them off the top of my head, sorry, and classrooms and students with teachers who have made endangered species puppets or signs, as well as any community members who would like to join and just go for a walk through downtown past the farmers market and wrap back around. Followed by a 3-hour session of volunteer work for climate action, so tree planting and some garden work and composting work, and then in the evening is the environmental community gathering. This is a follow-on to the annual Endangered Species Fair. It has turned into the Endangered Earth event, and it takes place now every year right around Earth Day. So if you want to go out there and see those kiddos in the Walk for Earth or join them, they start at 9:30 a.m. Check-in, I think, is right around 9 a.m. Seeing no further announcements, we will move on to items from the floor. Just as a reminder, items from the floor is a time for the public to give the board input in a public forum. And no action can be taken at this time, so no interaction really takes place during items from the floor. It is just as any other public comment period where the speakers have 3 minutes to speak. We'll hear a 30-second bell as your warning time at the, towards the end for you to wrap it up, and then, then your 3 minutes is called, and we've heard your input, and we would take it into consideration. With that, I will start with Claire Mossman, followed by Sean Mossman.
Good evening. My name is Claire Mossman, and I'm a sophomore at Pleasant Valley High School. Last September, about 4 weeks into the school year, I was shocked and embarrassed to learn that I had been tricked into taking my clothes off while sharing a locker room with a male student. I was very upset and extremely confused. I didn't understand how my school could do this to me. I am a Christian girl, and I would never choose to take my clothes off in front of a boy. That boy is using my locker room at your invitation, and you didn't even give me a warning or an alternative option. All I got was forced compliance. It could be any male in that locker room watching us undress. It doesn't matter who the guy is. He does not belong in my locker room. Now, I have guys right next to me in the girls' bathroom. How could you ever believe that this is okay? This is the girls' bathroom. I have been to a few of these meetings now, and it is apparent to me that you are not at all considering how it affects everyone involved. My dad called the school this week to complain about my experience with boys in my bathroom. He talked to a vice principal about it, so later that day, she called me into the office, and in so many words, I was told that if being compromised and violated was a problem for me, that I could walk clear across campus to the single-use bathroom up front. Otherwise, too bad, it wasn't my problem, it's the law. What about all the other girls in the same situation as me? Are we all going to walk to the front of the school being late for class, risking getting in trouble, just to be able to feel safe and honor our values, when there's a bathroom right down the hall? You continue to say that you are here to serve the students and families in this district. However, it seems that only applies to a select group of people. You have violated my privacy, you have violated my modesty, and you have violated my dignity. To other parents and adults in this room, please, we need your help. It is not just me. I have had countless other girls and guys as well come to me with their feelings and concerns about being violated the way we are. The entire student body is under assault, and the school board and administration are the ones assaulting us. Thank you.
Sean Mossman, followed by Michelle Cooper.
That was my girl. I had a, I wrote down some angry things. I'm seething inside. Some less than kind things. But, last week was just obscene. It was ridiculous. We had a huge contingency in here from the Alphabet Mafia. And One of them sitting right in front of that girl, sitting beside me, turning around once he realized that she was with me, and after he realized I'd spoken, constantly turning around, glaring at her for uncomfortable periods of time, just on purpose. He's mid-late 20s guy wearing a dress, glaring at my daughter, trying to intimidate her and threaten her. We had a professor from Chico State University here, stood here and said some horrible things, and went home and proclaimed herself queer as in F-U, and then implied that she was going to shoot anybody that disagreed with her. Lindsay Briggs, you're going to need to shoot somebody? Go ahead and start with me. I'm a lot older than a lot of parents, and their kids need them to be around a little bit. Lindsay, you're just a very fine step away from going from a pretend victim to a very real murderer. This got to get dialed back. You all know, all 5 of you know, regardless of what your agenda is, and I know at least 3 of you have agendas that are completely contrary to my own. Mine's about the kids. Yours are very specific about modifying our society. And we know what's going on right now is not right. It's not right. There are solutions, but they're going to take some time and some thinking and a little bit of money. But our kids are worth this. And we've got to dial back the rhetoric. Parents need to get more involved. And we need to be in this for our children. We need to be in this for our kids. Thank you.
Michelle Cooper, followed by Rob Berry.
Thank you. My heart just breaks for that family. At the last meeting, Mr. Lando said that he wanted to know why there is a persistent idea that parents think their children are being coerced into changing genders. He said, quote, "It's clearly not true. No one is in a classroom telling students who they ought to be." He went on to say, in reference to those of us who spoke against the district's secrecy policy, quoting again, "The people who spoke on the other side, by and large, were not going to be harmed if they got their way. Anytime people with no skin in the game legislate something that affects other people, it turns out badly." Perhaps, Mr. Lando, you've forgotten about the federal lawsuit that has been brought against this board and the district because a parent was not informed of a social transition that was happening to her daughter. This happened within the elementary school and the classroom, proving that it is in fact true. At the mere mention of a gender question, the student was told who she ought to be. Aurora Regino and her family were indeed harmed by the district's dangerous policy of keeping secrets. Harm that could very well come to many more families because you voted to keep this policy. I have a lot of skin in the game. I have a child within this district. Every single person with a child, family member, or friend within this district has skin in the game. Those of us who want parental inclusion are not asking for something that affects other people. We're asking for a policy that directly affects everyone. Mr. Lando, you went on to say that we do not believe parents are bad. We don't hate parents. We don't keep secrets from parents. We want parents involved. Then please tell me why you voted against a parent inclusion policy. I've had some great conversations with staff members of this district, and most can understand that parents want inclusion. I can understand that a child might feel nervous or cautious about telling a parent that they're questioning their identity. But what I would expect staff to do is to tell that child, "Let me help you tell your parent. I understand this could be hard for you, but I'm here to help you." Understand that parents are the ones that can help them the best. This conversation isn't over, and I hope this board will see this and revise this policy before you have more lawsuits on your hands.
Rob Berry and then Loretta Torres.
Well, I'm sorry, Tom, but you're going to be picked on a little bit more here. We had witnessed many rude and uncivil things at this last meeting. And it is ironic that those who argue that students must be shielded from their parents in the interest of preventing harassment, intimidation, and discrimination, showed themselves to be the most shameless and worst offenders. But of all of the misguided and offensive words and conduct we witnessed, none can top the words of Tom Lando, spoken after midnight in justifying his reasons for voting in favor of the parental secrecy policy. What he said is that the only harm that exists are those declaring themselves transgender children, and what he called outing children to their parents, because the parents had no skin in the game, as you just heard. And that the only policy that he could live with is the one that he voted for, which is to maintain a policy of student privacy over parents being informed. I warned you last meeting about the legal risks you were exposing yourself to, and that the Regino case is only the beginning. These cases are being brought all over the country, and circuit courts are finding that the rights of parents reign supreme, despite state laws, guidance, or district orthodoxy. But the majority are not persuaded by these arguments. You are not persuaded by any argument except those justifying interventions in the most sacred and defensible principles of family life, the right of parents to intervene in all aspects of a child's rearing. It is the parents' genes that the children carry, not yours or anyone else's. Children are the skin that parents have in this game. My advice to you is this: don't think for a minute that simply by making a speech or by casting a vote on the dais, you can override the authority of parents in their children's lives. We still live in a constitutional republic, and you are forcing parents to prove that to you. And trust me, they will.
Loretta Torres, followed by Deanna Lindstrom.
I'm an 80-year-old grandmother with 2 in your school district at this time. I was taught to love my fellow man and not to judge whatever journey they chose in this life. And because of that, I used to volunteer at Safe Space. Our meetings were held at Stonewall Alliance's offices on Broadway. I was supportive of Stonewall's work with transgender adults and gays who were harassed or mistreated by the public and who needed help. That was 14 years ago. Now, Stonewall has morphed into student support groups on your campus, distributing breast binders and information to children with wording and drawings to help them with their confusion as early as pre-K. You wouldn't accept Bible study groups on your campus who distributed children's Bibles. So why Stonewall? I think you've become jaded because you've seen your fair share of uncaring parents, ones who you never see until their graduation night, if then. Parents who've changed their babies' diapers, nursed them through illnesses, worried when they were past their curfew as teens. These are loving parents. They are not their enemy. They are not the enemy here. I repeat, parents are not the enemy. Loving parents deserve the benefit of the doubt from you and the school counselors. They are not getting it, and your vote 2 weeks ago reflected this. I think you're waiting for California to pass AB 665 so parents will be coerced to agree to transgender affirmation treatment. Stonewall has been influencing our children to demand puberty-blocking drugs and testosterone treatment, and more importantly, to not wait until they are sure of their choices. So many teachers are afraid to speak their minds on this issue. I think if you allowed teachers to take an anonymous vote about keeping secrets from their students' parents on this vital issue, you would be shocked at their opinions on this. Now, all you parents listening or watching tonight, you should be afraid, very afraid of Bill AB 665. It's making its way through our Democratic-controlled legislature, and if passed, it will make it possible for counselors to decide whether your child should be taken from you if you don't give your permission to their children's gender affirmation. God have mercy on all of you if you don't protect the most vulnerable and innocent children in your care. Thank you.
Deanna Lindstrom, followed by Audrey Bakke.
Hi, my name is Deanna Lindstrom, and I was one of the 40 speakers at the last school board meeting who spoke up because schools should not be keeping secrets from parents. I know firsthand what kind of destruction secrecy can cause. Our children spend half of their waking hours at these schools to get an education, while parents like myself work to support their needs. Our children may experience bullying and harassment while at school. And according to Chico's Stonewall Alliance's Facebook page, 82% of children experience this at school and not at home like you want us to believe. How dare a board member who sits before us have the audacity to say, and I quote, "Parents have no skin in this game." Let me let you in on a little secret. We do have skin in the game when our hearts beat and walk outside of our bodies, and all we want is for our children to be loved, nurtured, and not feel any kind of anguish. Why would you want to keep what our children are going through from us? Why do you want our children to suffer from any kind of hardships without the help of parents? It should be a team effort across the board to help children learn and grow into healthy adults. The last board meeting became out of control with yelling, mocking, and hatred towards parents who just want more transparency between the school and families. Why are you condoning this behavior towards parents? Why are our children being told not to confide in their parents for emotional support? Isn't that the opposite of what family dynamics is really about? This is a huge problem and is exactly why parents are now holding the schools and district accountable. Thank you.
Audrey Bakke, and then Nicole Nava.
Hi, once again, I'm here as a parent of 3 Hooker Oak students just to give you more to think about as far as Hooker Oak being such an amazing school. My youngest son is watching chicken eggs in an incubator in his kindergarten classroom as they study oviparous animals. That is a word I learned. He isn't just reading about animals that lay eggs, he is making observations and recording notes about the progress of the eggs in the incubator. On the way home from school today, my youngest son told his big brother all about the eggs. And his big brother shared all about his excitement when they did the same experiment when he was in kindergarten. It's these learning experiences that stick with the students of Hooker Oak and make learning come alive because of the hands-on thematic program. The field trips are wonderful and plentiful. Our teachers do a great job at finding fun and educational opportunities for students within the community in order for them to be more hands-on and involved in their outside world. Kindergartners study the state of California, then take a walk through Lower Bidwell to record what they see that represent the state, like a redwood tree or a golden poppy. First graders take multiple trips to Cal Skate and learn about a traditional pastime during their Life from Long Ago unit. I was a little sad to hear that was a pastime from long ago. There are many trips to see performances at Laxon Auditorium, walking field trips to the county library just down the street and to museums in the downtown area, and trips to explore Bidwell Park. They have multiple agencies that come in and help them with doing school plays after school. We just had the dancing. There are so many different things, trips and projects that solidify the learning that the students are doing in the classroom. Honestly, though, I think the best part about Hooker Oak is that it truly represents Chico because the families that attend our school come from all the different neighborhoods in our community. Because we're a school of choice and because we ask to be a part of this community, we're not just a group from the same part of the town that feeds into the neighborhood school down the street. We come from every part of Chico and represent every type of neighborhood. My kids have made friends that they never would have met had it not been for going to Hooker Oak, because we would have been in different neighborhood schools. Our school is truly diverse and truly represents Chico, and that is the most important thing. Please reconsider closing or repurposing Hooker Oak. Our school has so much to offer and truly brings our community together in ways no other elementary school can. Thank you.
Nicole Nava, followed by Ed Rona.
At the April 5th meeting, we saw School Board President Dalby refuse to recite the Pledge of Allegiance and completely fail in her duties to run a civil and safe meeting on school grounds. Stonewall Alliance bullies attended to boo, jeer, and interrupt speakers who wanted transparency with parents. This board, minus trustees Conkin and Tennis, approved the secrecy policy with zero evidence that parents would be abusive toward their children upon hearing sensitive information. Last night's City Council meeting had a lone Socialist council member also refusing to recite the pledge. He also participated in disrespectful behavior, such as Dalby has, and droned on for most topics, which ensured some of the public weren't heard, as for the second time they didn't get through an agenda. Had they done so, it likely would have been an 8-hour meeting like the one here on April 5th. The complete lack of civility and control in these public meetings, plus the painfully obvious bias shown by Robinson, Dalby, and Lando, who laughably claimed parents don't have any skin in the game, that condescension is replicated by their comrade on the council and highlights the combined utter lack of regard you socialists show to anyone who doesn't share your extremist ideologies. Example, a speaker admonished parents that social transitioning shouldn't be confused with medical transitioning. First off, breast binders are suggested and provided to minor girls on campus without being advised of risk and without parental knowledge. Dr. John Stever, assistant professor of pediatrics at Mount Sinai, who runs his transgender health program, said, most of his patients who use binders then tell me the next things they want to do, like testosterone, mastectomy, and maybe phalloplasty. 95% of the people I've evaluated get started on cross hormones. So I'm pretty sure we parents are right to want transparency from the get-go, and that social transition is a gateway to medical transition. Get real. The room was a complete circus for several meetings now, and we can all clearly see who the children would not be safe with, and it clearly is not us parents. Last night, after the council meeting, one bully made sure to catch me leaving and called out meanly, how about that last school board meeting and hearing about how much your son hates you? You were a mess. Do you get how toxic you all are? And yet you want us to allow you unfettered access to our minor children. You are the bullies. You are those who are filled with hatred and bigotry. There is zero evidence here locally of any of your accusations and assumptions that we, the parents, are bullies. You are the last people who should serve as role models or support to impressionable young minors. There is a black hole in many of you, which is only matched by your cold black hearts. You've lost your moral compass, your compassion, and your objectivity. You don't understand the Constitution, the Brown Act, ethics trainings, or what it means to abide by your oaths of office. So
That's your time. Thank you.
yes, thank you.
Ed Rona, followed by James Bishop.
Good evening. Ed Rona, I'm the chairperson of the educational programs with the VFW Post 1555 here in Chico. I'm with Mary Wall, who is the president of our auxiliary and the co-chair of our program. I appreciate the opportunity to give you some information on the VFW educational programs. Last year, I spoke very briefly on the programs, and this year I'd like to give you some results. Our Patriots Pen Essay Competition is for junior high school level students and gives them an opportunity to express their opinions on a patriotic theme and improve their writing skills while competing for awards and prizes. Nationally, the awards total over $1 million each year. Locally, they compete for awards from the local post and district levels. This year, we had over 50 entries from several schools, with our top winners coming from Chico Junior. The theme this year was My Pledge to Our Veterans, and Patriots Pen is a stepping stone to our next level of competition. Established in 1947, our Voice of Democracy competition gives high school students the opportunity to write and record an audio essay on a patriotic theme while competing for more than $2 million in college scholarships and incentives nationally and monetary awards at the local post and district levels. The first place national award is a $35,000 scholarship. Our winners this year came from Chico and Pleasant Valley High Schools. The theme this year was, Why is the Veteran Important? We also had nominations for our Teacher of the Year program. This program awards teachers at the elementary, junior high, and high school levels. We recognize teachers who utilize their skills to effectively teach and promote America's history and traditions, civic responsibility, flag etiquette, patriotism, and Americanism. This year we had nominations at the elementary and high school levels and rewarded teachers at those levels, and our elementary level teacher also won at the district level, going on to the state. National winners in the Teacher of the Year program receive $1,000 for themselves for professional development and $1,000 for their schools. In total, we awarded our local post and district winners over $900 this year, and we are now getting ready for a 2023-24 competition period. Our topics for this year are how are you inspired by America for our Patriots Pin essays, and what are the greatest attributes of our democracy for the Voice of Democracy audio and written essays. And I will be meeting with the principals from the elementary and secondary schools next month to give them this specific information and applications for their students, as well as doing another push for our Teacher of the Year nominations.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, may I briefly be recognized, Madam President?
Sure.
I just want to express congratulations to all the people who competed and won in your program, which I think is very admirable. I want to thank you and your organization for your service into our country and also to our community in putting on this, this competition.
Up we have James Bishop.
Hi. I wanted to share my observations from the last board meeting. The parents focused their comments on the secrecy policy. If they referenced the trans community at all, they made neutral or supportive remarks. They listened respectfully to the teachers they didn't agree with. Outbursts were limited to defensive comments like stop interrupting or let them speak. I also observed that the trans activist community seemed triumphant. They outnumbered the parents and employed thunderous applause and booing and catcalls to create a fairly intimidating environment. Therefore, it seemed odd that they felt the need to respond to parents with mocking and ridicule. Particular targets of their derision were comments about parents' rights deriving from nature, nature's God, the Constitution, that sort of thing. The ridicule seemed to be directed at the parents' values. One pointed example was a mother sobbing before the community, clearly mourning the break with her child who was present, and in agony because she could not affirm choices she believed would lead to harm. The activist community had no empathy or compassion for this person, but only more ridicule and derision, apparently because they disagreed with her sincerely held beliefs and the actions they led her to. We have a name for this hostility directed toward people because of their values, culture, or religious belief. It's called bigotry. And actions to intimidate, hurt, punish, or silence we call bullying. As if to ensure that this was the only conclusion a reasonable person could reach, Lindsay Briggs, the wife of Andrea Mox, the director of Stonewall, followed up the meeting with an online posting celebrating the evening's success and punctuating it with a cartoon depicting a woman pointing a gun and quoting, "Not gay as in happy, but queer as in F you." That's not what it said. Message received. So my observation was that the activist community centered around Stonewall is objectively hateful, cruel, bigoted, and prone to merciless bullying. Question: why would any parent, school board, or school district superintendent want people like that around their children? I don't believe they would. Therefore, I am committing myself to systematically sharing my observations with the Chico community as a warning against Stonewall and trans activism, together with the facts about misdiagnosis and the collapse of Tavistock, among other relevant topics. I have already started. I'll also say, since I seem to have a little time left, I think that the concept of an adolescent sharing information to a counselor in secret and not having that shared with anybody is probably defensible. But what is not defensible is the idea that everybody in the school would be notified by that counselor or parent or teacher and not the parent. That's not defensible. What is also not defensible is the idea that an 8-year-old is going to share something that's not going to be shared with their parent. If a school representative doesn't think that a parent can hear what an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old has to say, then they should file charges against the parent. Otherwise, it's ridiculous. So just wanted to clarify.
That's your time. Thank you. that is the end of the speaker signups for items from the floor. We will go on to item number 8, consent calendar. Do we have a motion for the consent calendar?
I move approval.
Yes.
Just usually before we move, we check to see if anybody wants to pull anything.
This would be the time.
Okay. Sorry. Having said that, I'll second it.
Would you like to pull something?
No.
Oh, okay.
Want to make sure we had a chance to do so.
I felt like I paused long enough after I said consent calendar. That's the time when anybody could pull an item.
I'll pull one item, and that is, I wrote it down, but I don't have my notes, but it's the 2 items about the course creation for the graphic design and then the advanced graphic design.
8.2.
Number 7 and number 8, I think it was.
7 and 8.
Yeah, those 2, and I just have a brief comment on them.
Okay, so we're pulling 8.2.7 and 8.2.8. Yes?
I'm going to piggyback on Mr. Tennis's pulling of those. I too have a question more than comment.
On those items?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I
those
thought it sounded like you were gonna pull a different one.
I
Okay,
got additional information. Thank you.
alrighty. Any other items to pull? Okay, so now I'll ask if there's a motion to approve the consent agenda, minus 8.2.7, 8.2.8.
I'm happy to make that motion.
Okay, thank you.
Seconded.
We have a motion by Mr. Tennis and a second by Mr. Lando. This is our first vote in open session tonight, so we'll start at the end with Mr. Lando. Signify your approval by saying aye.
Lando, aye.
Tennis, aye.
Dalby, aye.
Robinson, aye.
Conkin, aye.
All right. Mr. Tennis, you pulled 8.2.7 and 8.2.8.
I just want to say, I think it's, were you going to be available to comment on those?
Heard there might be a question.
Yeah, I have no question. I'll just say that graphic arts, and are just incredibly important in our society, and they integrate art and technical sciences in a really important way that is just, in my opinion, increasingly important. But the art piece is really valuable. So my hat is off to you guys for taking initiative on that and creating these courses.
This is Jill McKay, Chico High Art teacher.
Hi.
Hi, Jill. I had a chance to observe, if you remember.
Yes.
At PV. The question I had, there's so much new software that's been developed because of the importance, as Mr. Tennis said. Do we have any vehicle by which to look at what else may be out there on the market beside the software that we've committed to using for these courses, so that if there's, something new and different that can add to, especially the advanced class, are we able to obtain that and use it within the district without licensing problems and things? How does that work?
Well, currently Adobe is the industry standard, so that is what we are using.
Right.
I just went to the Adobe Max conference where they have all kinds of industry people there, and people are talking, and so I got to go there and network with people, and I have joined the Kid Brigade and doing the YouTube thing, and so I'm constantly researching other things and finding free programs for my students to use that cannot access the Adobe software after school, because now we are per person licensed instead of the whole school licensed. And so I'm constantly finding freebies for them to use that are similar to the Adobe products. And there are some out there. There's actually quite a few that my students have access to. But as for other paid-for software right now, I don't think that there's anything out there right now that can mirror what it is doing and that's worth changing over to. I mean, there are some that are up and coming that are really good, but we're already invested in Adobe and we have the licensing already going, and so I don't see the need to change that right now. But I'm always open to new ideas and new things in this industry because it is constantly changing,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay.
All right, do we have a motion on either or both of these items?
I move approval of both of those two items.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have Mr. Tennis with a motion to approve 8.2.7 and 8.2.8 with a second by Ms. Robinson. The last vote was unanimous, so we can just do a voice vote. All those in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous, thank you. With that, with the consent calendar, there was approval of 3 new prominent district staff, and so I would like to invite those folks up to introduce themselves.
Sounds great. Why don't we start with Bidwell Jr. and Mr. Sipling? Come on up.
Yeah, some changes that are really exciting.
Actually, all 3 of you come up, and we'll just have you, we can do this as a group. You got the mic. If you would just state your name and the school that you're going to be at and your position, that'd be awesome.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Darrell Siplin, and I will be joining the amazing staff at Bidwell Junior High School as the assistant principal for the 23-24 school year.
Good evening. My name is Christy Teochea, and I have the honor and privilege of joining the amazing staff at Chapman Elementary School next school year for the 23-24 school year. Thank you. As principal. Good evening. I'm Jennifer Scala, and I will be the Director of Student Services Special Education here at the district office. Thank you.
We're excited to welcome all 3 of these new administrators to our team, and I'm sure you will hear more great things about them as we start next school year.
Thank you. Welcome.
Congratulations.
All right, moving on to our discussion action calendar. We'll start with educational services. So we're on item 9.1.1. This is informational, advanced placement, capstone diploma program, Pleasant Valley High School informational presentation.
Good evening. My name is Deanna Holland, Assistant Principal at Pleasant Valley High School, and I'm here to introduce our AP Capstone teacher, as well as a few students to give you some information. But before I do so, I would like to provide you with a bit of background information. For probably close to 30 years, Pleasant Valley High School was known as the only school north of Sacramento that had an international baccalaureate diploma program, very rigorous 2-year program with a variety of subjects and requirements. Students who would complete the program would often enter college having completed already 1 or more semesters of coursework. And it was wildly popular and easy to sustain during the years when we could combine advanced placement courses with that. But about 13 years ago, due to some changes with advanced placement, we had to split some of our courses. That made it increasingly more difficult to sustain the international baccalaureate enrollment and offer that diploma program. So over the course of several years, despite our efforts, our enrollment in that program continued to decline. So we looked for some options. What could we do? Having had a robust AP program at the same time, College Board created what's called the AP Capstone Diploma Program, also a 2-year program with 2 required courses. They have options to earn a certificate. If you take both of those courses, pass both of those exams, you can earn a certificate. If during your high school career you also take and pass 4 additional AP courses, you can earn the AP Capstone Diploma Program. This is a program that focuses on research, analysis, and critical thinking skills, and they will explain a lot more than I will. Over the course of 3 years, this program started with our initial junior class seminar with only 24 students. Currently, we have 92 students in that course. Our senior course is called AP Research. There are 24 students enrolled, and we're happy to announce that next year our projected enrollment is nearly 180 students in seminar with 75 in research. So with no further ado, I'm going to introduce Doug Hesse, our AP Capstone teacher.
Thanks, Diana. Come over here, you guys. Hey, everybody. Thanks for having us. Appreciate it. I've got 2 goals tonight, which is not to get emotional around these great kids, and then last time I presented in front of the board, I left with the nickname, the 10-minute hello. So I'm going to try to watch it and let you have the fun of listening to the kids. So AP Seminar and AP Research are really unique courses. They're a big win for our district. Seminar, the kids get to, I think one reason why it's growing so much is the kids have so much autonomy, so much choice of content. We all share a skill hub in common, some really strong college level research analysis and argumentation skills. We have to look at problems from multiple perspectives, from multiple stakeholders, just like you do. But then the kids really get to take that skill hub and spin off to where they want to go in terms of content area, unique to their backgrounds, to their interests, to their career aspirations, college aspirations. So in that way, it's really exciting as a teacher. In fact, by the letter of the course, it's not just good teaching philosophy. I kind of have to decenter myself. I'm another scholar in the room with these smart kids. Really quickly, they know a lot more about their content than I do. So I'm kind of cast just immediately by necessity in kind of this discourse role with them. This is what another scholar would do, reflecting on what their needs are. And in the spring in AP Seminar, I'm not even allowed to give direct feedback if I wanted to. So it's part of the course. And so it's just kind of neat to watch them own their thinking process so much and have so much say in where they go with it. And then for me to kind of think about how can I just keep empowering that and give them more skills to just do that. Eventually, they don't need me very much. I mean, my bad sense of humor probably makes them feel funnier, but they don't really need me that much. They're so dang smart by that time and just off and running. They take all of that really multifaceted way of looking at a problem, and with all that autonomy they get to build in terms of content focus. And when they go into AP Research, they're literally doing graduate level work. Again, with full autonomy. I have no say in what they do. They get to choose from the outset when they decide what to do for their year-long study, where they're going to go. And we learn from each other. They taught me a lot, too, this year about different methods that are possible, different methods that might go well with a certain topic choice based on where the kids want to go. And before you know it, they're also getting to collaborate. Collaboration is a huge piece of the course. In AP Seminar, they're collaborating with each other and learning a lot. Students can give other students direct feedback. I just can't. So it's kind of cool how they can rely on each other. In AP Research, they keep collaborating with each other, but then they get to collaborate with experts on and off our campus. I've had a couple students be mistaken for grad students, working with people like some of these kids have in research institutions where they're like, wait a second, you're in high school, you're doing something that I'm teaching my grad kids how to do right now. How is that possible? And so it's just really exciting for them to get to have that level of collaboration too. I think we all can kind of understand what that means for them going forward into college and going on into careers. So I'm just along for the ride, telling the stupid jokes and helping them have good conversations, and they take it from there. I've got Grace Montgomery, Sophia Perez, and Jameson Riley and Alexis Sprati with me. And these are their, we call them project profiles. We made them for you a little while ago, where you just give a feel for their research pathway that they took. And then I'm going to let them kind of tell you a little bit about why they were interested in going that route with their pathway, some of the valuable things they maybe learned along the way. I'm thinking I'm forgetting one thing that I was going to have you say also, or think about wanting to say, but you'll probably think about it because they're smarter than me. And then if you have any questions, I was trying to be quick, and I don't think I was very successful, so that you can ask them some questions if you'd like to. I'm going to have Grace come up first, and hers is up there right now.
Okay, hi, my name is Grace Montgomery, and my research project this year was testing the feasibility of creating a biodegradable fabric out of almond shell cellulose, and I was able to partner with Chico Nut Company and use their almond shell byproducts. And so initially I was very interested in this because fast fashion is one of the main contributors to the contamination of our environment, and also almond shell farming, it uses about, I think it's like 49 million tons of water per year, which is like 17% of the total agricultural water use in California. And so those two things combined together kind of made me want to, first of all, research how to create a more sustainable fashion and also limit the waste of water in almond farming. And so I was also inspired by a Chico State professor, Joseph Green, who was researching almond shell fibers, and he actually found that they can be used in the interior of car parts. And so he's actually working with Ford Motor Company to create interior car parts using about 20 to 40% almond shell fibers. And so then I decided to research that in the context of a biodegradable fabric. And I thought that this was very, I got a lot of skills from this, like including communication skills, because I was working directly with professionals at Chico Nut Company, and they actually got me into contact with their chemist. His name is John Penzak, and he works in Madeira. And so I was able to work with them to create a procedure for cellulose extraction that was based off of one of the previous studies that I had researched. And yeah, I was able to work with them and make a lot of communication skills and able to get my voice in the scholarly conversation with those people, which kind of made me have a lot more confidence about the research process and like how to go about that. So yes, thank you.
We're going to go in order. Do you guys want to maybe wait for questions at the end, or would you like to ask them as you go, or if they come up? How should we handle that? I should have thought about that.
Oh, we generally ask as they come,
Okay.
and they may come back, so,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Thanks, Grace. And Sophia, come on up.
I would also invite board members, they're looking at me like I it wasn't clear enough. Please ask questions anytime. You don't need my permission. Thank you.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Okay. Good evening. My name is Sophia Perez, and my study was centered around immigration reform. So I am aware that there is a bit of a crisis regarding immigration in our country, and it's often a polarized topic. So I specifically was looking at detention centers and how we can improve them or essentially move away from that model. So I was looking at alternatives to detention, and this is specifically revolved around a community-based model, which is typically from philanthropic or nonprofit organizations that provide a variety of services to non-citizens, such as accessible housing, employment opportunities, legal services, which is the most important because it allows immigrants to receive legal assistance with paperwork and essentially obtaining citizenship. So one of the interesting parts about my study was that I used the Delphi method, and essentially this is a survey which you are asked to survey experts. So the experts that I worked with were all law professors that specialized in immigration law at the University School of Law and Pacific McGeorge School of Law. One of the experts was actually the dean of the law school, so I was really grateful to establish that connection. But what drove me to this investigation was my personal connection to immigrants. My father is an immigrant, and essentially my entire family are Mexican immigrants, so I feel a strong connection to this population. Additionally, last winter break, I was offered an opportunity to go down to San Diego on a service trip, and I was able to directly work with refugees and asylum seekers and immigrants who had all recently crossed the USA-Mexico border. And it was one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. We created hygiene bags and offered food to them. And I just left that experience knowing that I want to pursue a career in immigration law. And ultimately, research has just given me such an advantage for when I attend the university in the next 4 years. I will be in the honors program at my college, and one of their main values is interdisciplinary thinking and scholarly work in that aspect, and I've already been doing this for 2 years. So I'm just excited that I have the confidence to partake in my own research project at the university level. So thank you.
I'm going to I happened to watch I think it was a 90-minute special on the immigrants that have to pass that very small, short, limited passageway between South America and Central America, Panama. Oh, my gosh. The depth of the problems from not only what those particular people face, but why they're coming, what's going on in their countries that are, forcing them into making these desperate decisions. I commend you for helping, because it certainly is a field that needs more attention, absolutely more attention. So thank you very much, Sophia, for what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Don't go away yet. I'm going to ask you a question. Sorry, thank you. But also, I'd like to ask Ms. Montgomery, which is to say, what did you find? What is the end result of your research? Or so for you so far?
So ultimately, from my research, there was a consensus among the experts that we should implement these models. In my paper, I discussed how we can provide federal funding and just expand the use. So the particular detention center that I looked at is in Otay Mesa, which is near San Diego. So in San Diego, the organization that I worked with is called Jewish Family Services. They were created by Jewish women in the 1920s. However, they do not solely provide services to Jewish people. So I talked about how I think that it would be interesting if we could see a partnership between them and essentially expanding their location.
So actually, the results from my research were very contradictory, and so I wasn't able to come across one complete conclusion. But the implications were that almond shells should still be further tested, and I want my method to be, because actually I wasn't able to complete my method the way that I wanted to, and so I want my method to be completed successfully, and then I think hopefully that they will actually be able to be utilized.
Awesome, thank you. And that's a really good point, right? That research doesn't always just happen and you get a result. The process, sometimes it doesn't work, and you go back, and that's a really important skill.
One of the neatest things about what kids have bought into is that they run into a lot of hurdles that are the real hurdles that actual researchers run into, and they have to go slow and have due diligence. And if something can't be done yet, it can't be done yet, and that's part of the reality of real research. And these kids just took that on amazingly with great depth and humility, and did a great job with knowing what their next steps would be if they could, and all that kind of great stuff. So it's been awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, Jameson Riley.
Hi, so my name's Jameson Riley, and my topic of study was the association between colors and mathematical ability for fourth graders. So what I ended up doing was I partnered with fourth grade teachers both here at Marigold and at Sierra View. And I gave each class a certain multiplication test. Some included color and some did not. And the questions were all the same. The only thing that changed was the color of the multiplication chart. And without going into too much of the detail about the specific tests, my results found that one certain type of colored test actually resulted in about 10% better performance than another test based solely on the color. So instead of students getting a B, or instead of students getting a C rather, they got a B on the test on average. So it definitely has some big implications for just kind of how math is taught, and definitely needs to be researched further, but I thought it was a pretty astonishing result that full letter grade difference was just based off of the color alone. I thought the research process in AP research was great, especially for college and beyond. Not only just because of the learning how to do research, but also just learning how to write in such a scholarly and professional manner. Definitely writing a whole research paper in 1 year taught me a lot about how this kind of work is done, and it'll definitely give me a head start for college. Thank you.
So there's no reason you should know this, but I'm a math intervention teacher. Can I get a copy of your chart at work? I'm serious. Like, and that goes to everybody. I would love to see the actual research papers if we can get copies. This is fascinating. But yours especially. I mean, if that actually works and it can be replicated, that's huge.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Jameson, I have a question for you. So usually when we're inspired to look into something, right, it's usually based off of some kind of phenomenon we experience. What inspired this topic?
One thing that inspired me was a condition called synesthesia, which is where people associate two abstract ideas. The most common form is color number synesthesia, with about 4.4% of adults reporting to have it in the U.S. So this is kind of where I came up with it, because I do have that condition where I associate colors and numbers, and it actually helps me with mathematics and different math tasks. So I wondered if this association could be used in a different way with people that don't necessarily have that ability or that condition.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alexis Brady.
Hi, my name is Alexis. I was inspired by my mom's breast cancer journey and my passion for yoga, and I generated the research question, is Iyengar yoga as a complementary therapy effective in improving the quality of life of breast cancer survivors of 40 years and older in Chico? I communicated with I got in contact with a local yoga studio, and I secured the studio and an instructor for a 60-minute weekly class for a 4-week-long duration. I got in contact with a sample of 9 women, and they completed the yoga classes, and before the first class and after the last, they completed a quality of life survey, and I took the average question responses, and I found the difference between them, which is the improvement in the quality of life based on those responses, and I was able to find that there is a correlation between improved quality of life and participation in yoga. And I was inspired, yes, by my mom and my own passion, but it's also been found that 13% by the American Cancer Society, that about 13% of U.S. women can be diagnosed with breast cancer. And speaking directly to my experience in AP Seminar and AP Research, I've had an amazing experience doing these classes. I think it's so unique that we're able to focus on interdisciplinary studies, and it's really the only class that's offered other than electives that speak directly onto student interest. I think that's really special, especially in high school, because courses like that aren't necessarily offered. Also, like Sophia, I've been admitted into the honors college at the college I plan on attending, and I will have a interdisciplinary minor. And so I think that the research and the process that I've gone through in these past 2 years will really help me with that.
I have a slightly selfish question. Did you all go to the same middle school?
We all had you.
I know. I thought so. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're so grown up. Yeah, they were all my students at one point. I don't take credit for any of that at all, but it's really nice to see your faces all grown up. Thanks for sharing.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Always proud of my kids. Sorry. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to cry. All right, we're moving on to 9.1.2. This is discussion action Chico Unified School District Butte Community College Partnership College Connection Program calendar.
Good evening, board. I love being surrounded by really smart kids, right? Not just this group that's about to address you, but the group that's left. So with pleasure, I'd like to introduce Elaine Elsmore, our Butte College Chico Unified College Connection instructor, and she's going to share some information about the action item you'll be working on, and most importantly, we're going to get to hear from some of her students. So I'm going to turn it over to Elaine Elsmore.
Thank you, John. Good evening, board members and superintendent, assistant superintendent, students, right? Like that is the reason why we're all here, and community. So I'm really happy to be here. But I also know that it's getting on in the day for everyone who's been at school since 8 a.m. and had to make that commute out to Butte. So I will be succinct. It is my honor to be working with this program and a part of this team and this partnership between Butte College and Chico Unified. The partnership has been in place for 25 years, and I've had the pleasure of working with students for 16 years in this role. And it's a college immersion program. And so our Chico PV seniors have the opportunity for a facilitated, intentional introduction to college. They receive a wonderful education. They have wonderful opportunities at their high schools. But these people have chosen to do something outside of those campuses, something that's brave, outside of their comfort zone, just as they have done so tonight, to really get ready for college. Not only they have the academic chops, but also to have those experiences. So Lily and Enrique will introduce themselves, and they'll tell you about their experiences with College Connection. And I'm so happy for them to talk about the program.
Hello, my name is Lily Moore, and I am a College Connection 2023 senior. So I decided to attend this program because it was an amazing opportunity to get a head start on my general education. Not only was it an amazing opportunity for that, I also thought it was a really good opportunity to begin exploring what college felt like for me before I actually attended college. So not only have the classes I've taken helped me to see what it feels like to be among my peers as of college seniors, but also to gain experience from teachers. I joined a club called Environmental Horticulture, and I met a lot of friends in that club as it relates to my major, and I actually got a job from that club. So not only was I able to make friends and enjoy the college scene, but I got a really amazing job out of it. Now, the classes I take are not offered at Chico High, and I'm really glad I was able to take them because it solidified my route into what major I want to take in college. And now I know for sure that this is the right path for me. So, thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Enrique Rodriguez. I am also a College Connection 2023 senior. College Connections, I chose that program because I realized I was very intrinsically motivated with my education. Ever since sophomore year, during COVID, I started taking college classes. And I knew that College Connection was that next step, especially with the fact that you surround yourself in a college environment. One big difference that I notice is your daily structure. Each day, it's not you're here from, let's say, 8:30 to 3:30. It really just depends on your schedule. For example, my classroom time in the classroom is around like 15, 16 hours a week, whereas at PV, if I were to go there for my senior year, it'd be more like 30 to 35. Because of that, I've been able to take on more responsibilities. For example, I'm able to maintain a part-time job. Without College Connections, I wouldn't have been able to do that. One of my biggest accomplishments, I'd say, through College Connection is the fact that I'm IGETC certified already. meaning that I'm already completed with my general education at a CSU or a UC, so all I have left is the major coursework. My biggest next step, because of College Connection, is to pursue a Bachelor's of Arts in chemistry and then get a teacher credential. I'm not sure which college yet, but hopefully I can do that so I could become a high school chemistry teacher. Thank you.
So do you have any questions for Lily or Enrique or myself?
No questions in particular. I think I'm just a huge fan of this program. I'm really glad that you guys are taking advantage of it and that we are able to offer it. Can't wait to see what you guys do next. And Mr. Chemistry Teacher, you're going to be in demand a lot when that comes through. Don't forget about us.
You know you want to come back home, though.
I have a question. You probably said this, but how many students do we have participating in College Connections?
Currently this year we have about 25 students, and next year we have a larger cohort.
This is from both
Yes.
Chico.
Both Chico and PV.
Okay.
Thank you for being here and waiting and sharing. We really appreciate it. And we do need action from the board. We have to approve their calendar.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the calendar?
So moved.
And we have a motion by Mr. Lando.
Second.
Oh, a second
Oh.
by Ms. Colgan.
That's okay.
Nope, all good. Any discussion? No? All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Elaine, last year, you went through a brief discussion of the screening process and application process.
Yes.
For how students get in. That was very valuable. So once it looks like we're not all here, well, we may not all be here tonight anyway, but that was a really valuable bit of sharing. So do it again.
Okay.
No,
Well,
not tonight. 'Cause
not tonight.
I
Okay, great.
remember the presentation from last year, and I just thought it was very valuable.
Well, good. I'm glad you appreciate it. And I do provide that presentation to students and parents each year as I'm doing outreach for the program.
Yeah, it was very valuable. I'm done.
All right. Our last vote was, sorry?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Our last vote was unanimous, so we can do another voice vote. Okay. Those in favor of approving the calendar signify please by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, it's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much. Okay. We are moving on to item 9.1.3, discussion action, California Community Schools Partnership Program Planning Grant Update.
Good evening. My name is Tina Keene, and I'm here with Jennifer Scala and Michelle Bunch as a follow-up to an item that came to you a couple of months ago. I believe it was in December, talking about our application for the Community Schools Partnership Grant. So we said we would come back with more information, and I will hand it off to Michelle to give you an update on where we're at.
Good evening. I'm very pleased to report that Chico Unified School District was awarded the planning grant for the California Community Schools Partnership Program. I guess I need to use the clicker. We were awarded $199,807, and our plan is to use that in a one-year format. We plan to apply for the implementation grant next January 2024. If it follows the same timeline as this year, we would expect that the application would be available in January. And the implementation grants last for 5 years. So the planning grant's really to prepare ourselves for implementation. To give you an idea on the timeline for the planning grant, we work backwards based on an expectation that the request for application will be available in January. So currently we're hiring for a community school coordinator, and that position was flown and just closed, and we will be conducting interviews in the next few weeks. The new community schools coordinator will help to conduct a comprehensive needs and asset assessment in August and September for the 6 schools that meet the criteria for community schools, which is an 80% or higher unduplicated pupil count. In November 2023, if we're following our deadlines here, we hope to submit a community school implementation plan for each of those 6 schools for your approval. And then, like I said, the RFA should be out in January 2024 with a due date of March. If we are awarded the next step, which is implementation, then we'll be talking more about what our next steps are and moving forward. So we're very excited about what opportunities this will provide to 6 of our campuses, and just wanted to give you a brief update and let you know the great news. Any questions?
Actually, was there a big response to the position being flown? Did we get a lot of quality applicants, you think, for that?
We flew it internally first, so we have a handful of applicants, and we're reviewing those and extending interviews. And then we also flew it on EdJoin for external applicants. So we'll, like I said, we'll conduct those interviews in the next few weeks.
I saw it and enjoyed. I was a little sad that I couldn't apply.
It's an exciting grant. There's a lot of opportunity here, so we're excited to see this one come to our district.
I've got a question. Can you tell me which of our schools are enmeshed in this process?
Yes, so like I said, there are priority applicants, and if they have an unduplicated pupil count of 80% or higher, those are priority funded. So we have 6 campuses that qualify. 3 are alternative ed and 3 are elementaries. So Fairview High School, Center for Alternative Learning, and Oakdale at our alt ed campuses, Chapman, Citrus, and McManus Elementaries for elementary campuses.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So we will be back with more information once we get the community schools person hired, and we'll be working on our next steps in applying for the implementation grant. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Excited to hear about it.
This was on as discussion action, but there's no direction that you're looking for from the board? Okay. Great.
Now, we'll let you know when we've hired, and then that will come before the board.
Okay. Thank you.
I do have one question, if I have time for it.
Sure.
CUSD was awarded $199,807, and but there's between $200,000 and $500,000 per qualifying school site.
So that is for the implementation grant. So for the planning grant, there was a $200,000 cap
Okay.
for the planning grant year.
So the total for this program is really in the realm of a lot more.
Yeah, so you know, the $200,000 to $500,000 per qualifying school site, there's a formula for school size and how much they award, and that's times 5 years for every school. So your largest school could be awarded $500,000 per year for 5 years, so $2.5 million for your larger schools.
To implement.
If we get the implementation piece.
Which we wouldn't know that until mid-2024. So
Correct.
this is a planning grant. I'm in the middle of writing a planning grant right now.
Yes.
So the planning grant is just to come up with the plans, and then you take those plans that are fully fleshed out, where you have now developed that budget to determine the implementation, and then you apply for the implementation grant.
Right, so one of the criteria for the implementation grant is to have a community schools plan for every school. And so this provides you money, time, and resources to collect all that data and get ready to apply for the next step. So everything we're doing with this planning grant gets us ready to apply for implementation.
How long have this program been being discussed?
In the state of California,
Yeah.
round 2 was just awarded. So this is a relatively new grant program. Our governor originally put it through our legislature through 2027 and extended it now through 2031. So they've committed a lot of money and extended the time period. And we've been told at least 4 rounds of implementation will be offered. So we'll be applying for round 3.
Thank you.
Can you summarize just in the simplest terms? Because I struggle explaining to people what a community school would look like to envision, like a statement, like a mission statement, or the objective, the sole objective, or the core objective of a community school. Please.
Yes.
Thank you.
You want to help with this one too? So, I mean, the whole idea of this is to unify services and really coordinate services instead of having siloed services where you go out and you get medical care, and then you go out and you need optical care, and you need to go and get dental care. It goes beyond health, but the idea is to be able to coordinate services for students and families in one place and utilize community resources to assist better implementation and service to our students, and to not duplicate services. You want to keep adding?
So currently, our targeted case managers on a small scale are trying to do some of this work. And what this grant would allow them to do on a much more expanded perspective is really act as that bridge to all of these community services that are available and increase knowledge and help families with accessibility to those services, not necessarily that those services are going to be provided on a campus, but more so that we're making those connections and supporting families in getting what they need, either with possibly translation services or anything that might be interfering with them getting those services.
Services hub.
Services hub, yes. Yeah, and really working on that soft handoff or that supportive connection of, okay, you're not just going to go to this building at this address. We're going to make a connection for you. They're expecting you to be there. We're going to send over what documentation we may have that is supportive of your situation or your need, and there is much more connection involved.
Yeah, sometimes paperwork is definitely the biggest burden, or barrier to
absolutely
getting the services or the access to services, or the help that might be out there. I mean, a lot of families don't even know about financial support that they may be qualified for because the paperwork is so complex.
You're exactly right. And what this comes down to is it helps provide families those things they need. Then we'll go to the students having academic success and a positive academic experience in schools.
Yep.
And how we see this expanding is for us, so let's say Citrus, their feeder school's Chico Junior, and a lot of them will have siblings that go from Citrus to Chico Junior. So we'll want these people that work on those sites for Citrus to work with the Chico Junior people to make sure that those services also continues as they go, or if they have siblings at Chico Junior. McManus would go to Bidwell. Chapman will most likely work with Marsh and Parkview, those types of things. So we can try to not just limit it at those schools that we named tonight, that they will continue to help support the schools that they feed into.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you. I wonder, as the planning starts to go underway, if it might be beneficial to have, I don't know, maybe are there meetings or community meetings or school site meetings, or would it be beneficial to have a board liaison? Just kind of brainstorming on how this all coalesces whole scale.
We definitely could assign board liaisons like we do for many of our projects that go on throughout the year. So we'd love to have a board member or two as providing input. There are deliverables and outcomes that we have to follow for the planning grant, and part of that is bringing in community members, parents, students, obviously community and school members to be part of that committee and do the needs and asset assessment. So yes, we'd love to have board liaisons.
Great, thank you. All right. Yes. Well, it wasn't. It was discussion action if we wanted to take any action.
To congratulate them?
Okay, yeah, that is exciting. Building a program from the ground up is no small feat. It's exciting. Okay, so we are moving on to business services. We are at 9.2.1, discussion action resolution 1604-23, Board of Education of the Chico Unified School District directing the execution and authorizing the recording of a termination agreement, including a certificate of acceptance.
Well stated.
Thank you. That was a mouthful.
So before we get into the resolution, I just want to give a background information to the board members. So in December of 2005, the Chico Unified Financing Corp. Entered into a lease purchase agreement for solar panels at Little Chico Creek Elementary. So part of that process was allowing the lender to have a security interest in the elementary school, essentially collateral in the event that we didn't fully pay the financing payments. In December of 2019, we did fully pay off the balance related to that loan. And so at this point, what we're doing is basically cleaning up the title to Little Chico Creek. So the resolution in front of you this evening is to allow the officers of Chico Unified to terminate that agreement so that security interest can be removed off the elementary school.
Do we have any questions, Board of, questions of clarification? I don't know. My words aren't coming out in order, so.
This is fascinating stuff, and I move this item for approval.
All right, no clarifying questions, no public comment, and we have a motion on the floor from Mr. Tennis. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
All right, a second from Ms. Robinson. Any other discussion?
I do have a quick clarifying question. We're acting as the board, not as the financing corp here.
Correct. At this point, we have to have two resolutions. We have to have one that allows Chico Unified and its agents, which is listed in here as Superintendent and Assistant Superintendent of Business Services. At the next meeting, the Finance Corp meeting, there will be a resolution, the exact same resolution, with a slight change in the name that allows the officers of the Financing Corp to terminate the agreement and change the security interest on the title.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, since we were unanimous last time, we can also do another voice vote this time. So all those in favor of this action, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Seeing no opposed, it's unanimous. And next item, Human Resources, 9.3.1, discussion action, resolution number 1605-23, recognition of Teacher and Certificated Staff Appreciation Week.
Okay, so we're bringing to you a couple resolutions. The first one is recognition of teachers and certificated staff, which in the state of California is recognized during the week of May 8th through 12th. So we're bringing you a resolution to recognize the outstanding work of all our certificated staff. And then the next one will be classified, and I'll talk about how we're going to coordinate those two events in a minute.
All right, any questions for clarification?
Yes. Just that in looking at the resolution, it appears that Member Conkin's name is spelled incorrectly.
I apologize. You're correct, I did.
For sure.
Oh.
Yeah. I'll have to resign my position.
You know what? Get out.
We will correct that. Is it? I'm looking at it. There's no L, right? Is that? Yeah. Okay.
You can look it up on the webpage and
Yep.
make the change.
It's also right there on her nameplate.
Ah, there it is, right there.
So, may I?
Next year I'll have it correct.
Yes. Do we have a motion?
So I'd like to move.
Yeah.
I'd like to move approval of this resolution with the correction that Rebecca Conkin's last name will be spelled Konkin.
I will second that.
Just for the record, the next resolution has the same spelling.
Oh, boy. All right. So we have a motion by Mr. Tennis and a second by Dalby. All those in favor of approval signify by saying aye. Aye. Hearing no opposed, it's unanimous. Next item, same 1606-23, recognition of Classified Appreciation Week. Mr. Hanlon.
Okay, so we're bringing that one also. The dates in the state of California for recognition of classified staff is May 21 through May 27. So there's a week in between, and our plan is to go to each school site. We have some goodies that will be put together by our nutrition department, and Cabinet will be delivering those out to each of the sites and for their staff rooms, so we can recognize each site in person, and we'll make visits during that week as we deliver things. So we did that last year, and it was very successful at the suggestion of Superintendent Staley. So that was much appreciated by the staff out there. But again, we bring this forward to you each year. So I recommend the passage of Resolution 1606-23. And I will correct your name, Ms. Conkin.
Seeing no additional questions for clarification and no public comment, do we have a motion?
Sure. I'll move adoption of Resolution 1606-23.
So moved by Member Lando,
I'll second that motion.
seconded by Ms. Robinson. All those in discussion? Except that we appreciate all of our certificated and classified staff as well as our administrative staff. But yes, special weeks with special goodies sound great to me. Thank you.
Do you guys ever get a resolution for you?
We do. It seems a little self-serving to bring that forward on our behalf, but
I think
We usually do it on the same day that we do the board appreciation resolution.
Technically, administrative staff are certificated, so we could stretch that if we needed to, or classified, yeah.
That's true.
So hopefully somebody will also bring you some goodies. All right, we'll move to the vote. Those in favor of approval of 1606-23 signify by saying aye. 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 And no opposed, it's unanimous. Now we are on to 9.3.3. Sorry.
Student calendar.
Yes, adoption of the 25-26 student calendar.
Okay, so each April, we bring you a calendar, a student calendar that is 3 years into the future. So that helps greatly with planning, not only for school sites, but also for families, trips, vacations, but also staff development for school sites and those types of things. So there's nothing remarkable about this calendar. The dates, the holidays are very similar to other calendars that we have brought before you and approved. The graduation date is the first Friday of June, and then we work backwards from there, subtracting all of the holidays and natural breaks like spring break and Thanksgiving, Christmas, and those out of there. So we back up, and the first day of school is August 19th in 25-26. The only difference in this calendar, and we made corrections on the others, were the addition of June 19th for Juneteenth, when that became a federal holiday.
Is Chico State a big factor in what you guys come up with?
Only with regards to spring break. We have a lot of families, both employers as employees, but also families that have relatives at Butte College and Chico State. And so we have that in the spring break in the middle of March around St. Patrick's Day because of the disruptions that the partying caused. That was changed, Chico State a number of years ago, and then the board at that time adopted that also. One of the challenges with tying it directly to Easter was Easter kind of whipsaws through the calendar, and it's not a natural break in that semester. So at that time, the board decided to connect it with Butte College and Chico State around the St. Patrick's holiday. And it synchronizes the holidays with our local university and colleges.
Question, clarification. So Friday, June 5th is graduation for both Chico High and PV?
Correct.
Okay.
And the junior highs are typically the day before.
The day before, right, in the morning.
Mornings, yes, that's
While
that's
it's
been,
cool.
occasionally, one of them will choose at night, so it just depends.
Are you ready for?
Yeah, I just, we've had conversations before about holidays and adding holidays and what that would mean and how much it would cost and how it would complicate things, but just to acknowledge that there are some state holidays that the state recognizes that the district doesn't recognize. So just, I think, just say out loud to acknowledge Indigenous Peoples Day and the Genocide Awareness Day that occur October and April, I think April. Just to recognize that those are not holidays that the district currently has on the calendar. I do hope that sometime in the future, near future, we might discuss how to at least acknowledge those days district-wide in a more cohesive way if we're not going to add them as actual holidays on the calendar. But we haven't really had much discussion about that lately. But yeah, I know that some of us have had those questions in the past, and we've had students bring those questions to us as well.
So this is intended as a student calendar, and we could certainly do that. This is intended as a student calendar so that even June 19th, which seems to be in the summer because it is in the middle of extended school year and summer school, so it's included so that parents can see when students are expected to be in school.
Right,
But
so.
certainly something we can consider.
Yeah, so on that too, in June, when there's summer school going on or extended school year, that'll be a holiday at this point, okay.
Correct.
Is that starting with this year?
Yeah, that's
Last year, I think it was last year.
Oh,
2
was
years?
it?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Oh,
It was
okay.
2 years ago.
Okay. I didn't remember that for some reason. Are there any other questions from the board? Okay. Any public comment? All right.
We've almost lost our public.
Okay, I'll ask for a motion.
So moved.
A second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the calendar the student calendar for 25-26 by Mr. Tennis, a second by Ms. Robinson. All those in approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No opposed, so it's unanimous. And with that, we will break to a recess. And during this recess, we're on item 10. This is the annual meeting of the Board of Directors of the Chico Unified School Financing Corporation. Sorry, I have duplicate words on my page. I got lost. To be held in accordance with the agenda. Oh, and then I skip over to the other agenda. That's why I got confused. Just had the same thing twice, and I said, what do I look at? Okay, so I call to order the April 19th, 2023 Chico Unified School District Financing Corporation meeting. We have a discussion action calendar. 2.1, discussion action approval of minutes of annual meeting of February 15th, 2023.
So the minutes before you were what was presented during the Financing Corp meeting in February. Essentially an update on our Laston Avenue property and the 10-year lease related there, as well as the minutes from the prior annual meeting. So asking for those approval tonight.
Okay. So those minutes are from February?
Correct, 2 months ago, yeah.
Thank you. It was a long time ago in my brain. Okay, I was just making sure I got my dates right because making sure all the people present are the people who are on that list. Are there any questions from the committee? Okay. Let's see, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move approval of the minutes.
A second. Thank you. We have a motion from Mr. Lando, a second from Ms. Conkin. Let's do a voice vote, starting with Mr. Lando.
Lando, aye.
Tennis, aye.
Talby, aye.
Robinson, aye.
Conkin, aye. It's unanimous. It passes. Thank you. And then we have a resolution as item number 2. So we have 2.2, discussion action resolution 1603-23, Financing Corporation directing the execution of and authorizing the recording of a termination agreement, including a certificate of acceptance.
Yes, so exactly what I said earlier, essentially, but now you're acting as Board of Directors for the Financing Corp, authorizing the termination agreement.
Great. I have no further questions. Do I have a motion?
I move approval of the termination agreement for including the certificate of acceptance.
I'll second that. So we have a motion by Ms. Robinson and a second by Dalby. Those in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you. I will adjourn this meeting to return to our regular open session of the regular school board meeting. And we will move on to item number 11, items from the floor. Are there any additional public comment for items from the floor?
We had no additional speaker cards submitted.
Okay. Did you want to make a comment?
I'd love to. I didn't know, did you want to?
No, I'm good.
Okay, I was trying to yield to her.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, same as the first items from the floor and any other public comment. You have 3 minutes to speak to the board. You'll hear a warning sound at 30 seconds.
No, I didn't get the.
You gotta give the sample.
Thing.
There we go.
I
Thank you.
figured the last person here, I wouldn't be put on the clock, but I can understand. It's late. I get it. So.
No, we treat everybody the same, sir. Thank you.
No. Okay. Do I begin now? Okay, I didn't. So I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time and allowing me to speak. I appreciate it. Speaking to the April 5th meeting, disappointed though not surprised at the conduct of the board. You've gone as far as to post a comment on conducting yourself with civility for the meeting on your website for all of these meetings. When you had the ability last meeting to exercise that and take control of the meeting, you chose not to. Instead, you turned it into a circus. It garnered worldwide news attention. You made news in other countries. It was such a obvious mishap to the planet. Disgraceful. This board and administration leading CUSD have lost control. You have 2 pending lawsuits for gross misconduct and seem to thrive on splashing the news with ridiculous and ludicrous policies and virtue signaling. The fact that there is no mandate law, code, or anything else that requires you to have a parental secrecy policy, it's been confirmed by the district's own attorney at the last meeting. Thank you, Matt, for clarifying that. And that's an important piece. Pursuing this course is not only validating the policy that said you didn't exist in the first place, but further expanding on it is something you're choosing to do. Choice. You're not required to do this. You're standing up and you're saying, we're making a choice to go this route. We'll have drastic pushback from parents in this district. These are our children, not yours. That's our skin in the game. It's been said enough. I'm not going to run that one down. Your task is to provide a safe and healthy learning environment for the courses required by the state of California and the DOE. That's it. Gender transitioning, affirmation, facilitation, doesn't appear on that list. It's not there. You're kind of at a crossroads. Continuing this path will hurt your enrollment and probably monies down the road. It's that simple. Parents are working overtime right now behind the scenes to build learning pods and exploring charter and homeschooling options, or really just any way to get their children away from you and your seemingly wild need to upset most every parent in this district. I'm not saying kids can't have questions. I'm not saying they can't want to be someone else or that they can't be called different names or pronouns. It's not even about that. I'm saying parent has the right to know the very second the school even thinks that that's happening, though. And the biggest thing is, I guess, since I'm on the bell, is this is a personal choice you're making. You're putting on our children, our families, and our values. And that's not what the board is supposed to be doing. So I would just ask you, please reconsider. Consider the rest of the parents and, the ones that couldn't make it here tonight. That's why I stayed till the very end, and the last person and the last one you'll hear from. It's that important. You hear every single one of us that could make it. Thank you for your time, and see you next time.
Okay, seeing no additional public comment for items from the floor.
Caitlin,
Oh,
I had a
yes.
question. Am I allowed to step down in this position to speak to the board as a parent? Like, I don't know if that's allowed. I mean, is there a rule?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I mean,
you
I don't-
can.
yeah.
You can say, I'm going to remove myself from my capacity as a board member and speak as a parent, come to the podium and speak.
Okay, I'd like to do that.
Okay.
I'm Rebecca Conkin. I'm a mom of 4. I have 2 boys at Chico High, and I have a daughter who's a 6th grader, and I have a daughter who's a 3rd grader, both at Nord Country School. I just am speaking tonight to the board. I want to express my disappointment with the direction that we went. I've got a lot of skin in the game as a mom. And I just want to share a really personal experience that I have as a mom. We had the privilege of having Tom Lando for my son's 7th grade year at Nord Country School. Jake and Mr. Lando really hit it off. They had a great teacher-student relationship, and Jake really loved Mr. Lando. He learned quite a bit that year. And something that was just really special to me was that Mr. Lando got to spend 8 hours a day with my son, and he really got to know him and see a side of him that I didn't get to see. And Jake was going through some tough times. He had a lot of anxiety, and we were able to communicate. Mr. Lando reached out to me and shared with me all these concerns he had, and we had some great opportunity to communicate, and I really appreciated that vulnerability and that transparency, and I consider myself to be a good mom and know what's going on in my kids' lives, but that was something that, honestly, it was helpful for me to know. And my concern with this direction and keeping certain information from parents, whatever it may be, and in this situation, it's obviously in regards to transgender, but I don't want to see a precedence take place where teachers feel that they can't go to parents and share information. And I see just an overwhelming amount of concern for the direction that this particular position is going to direct us to. So thank you for your time.
Whoa, that was weird. I talked and it didn't come out of the speaker. If we have no additional comments for items from the floor from the public, we will move on to item 12, board member request to agendize an item.
I have one. I have heard from many people in the wake of the meeting 2 weeks ago that they are concerned that they're not in that room, that counseling session. They're not with that counselor either at the primary level or secondary. But there is legitimate concern out there. When I say legitimate, I just mean that our constituents, many of them are concerned about this, that we have staff who may be encouraging children to transition. There was or perhaps
I'm sorry,
school-sponsored.
I need to interrupt you really quick. Not because I don't want to hear what you have to say, but for board member request to agendize an item, this is a time to make a motion.
Yes, I'm just laying out the reasons why I'm making the motion. We tabled the parents' resolution. I move that we re-agendize in the not too distant future. You yourself said, it's recorded in the minutes, that we all approved that we would be taking this up in the future, or you inferred that. And I just want to, so maybe this isn't even necessary for that reason alone. But, I guess I would move that we put that on a agenda in the not too distant future. I mean, within the next 2 months. And at some point in that resolution, I think we should contemplate, for purposes of posting, that we're not going to do that.
Not going to do what, sorry?
What I was saying and what you interrupted me, that parents are concerned that we are actually encouraging gender transitions. Just as one of the whereases in a resolution. Or perhaps we could allude to that. If you didn't like that language, people should rest assured that in those intimate settings that their children are not being persuaded that way, or if we think that that's appropriate, I think the public should know that, but I don't think that we really do feel that way. In fact, I think that Mr. Lando, your comments upheld that we weren't doing that.
Yeah, I'd like to, did you want to?
Yeah, let me address that. We can bring that resolution back. We had planned to bring it back with our LCAP because it really is what we do. We work with parents, we get input, and that's a great time to bring that forward. And when it does come forward, by all means, if there are suggestions at that time, if board members want to add language, change language, that would be the appropriate time to do that. But our plan was to bring that back with the LCAP. And I also want to add, with resolutions are a commitment from the district. They are not items where we get public input to draft the resolution. They are what the district staff is committing to do. So I heard at our last board meeting, you didn't reach out to staff to help draft this. We didn't reach out to parents. We didn't reach out to parents to help draft the one that Jacqueline read this evening either. Resolutions are what staff bring forward and the board supports. So I just wanted to clarify that because there was a lot of comments about you didn't ask us. No, we did not.
Would it be fair to presume that any of us would be invited to sit down with district staff that's drafting or revising to give input?
If the board would like to appoint 2 people to work with staff in drafting that, you already have the draft. So, by all means, anybody could submit ideas for change. And if you wanted to have 2, we could only have 2. Work with that, that's fine. Or we can bring it forward as it is, as it stands, and make the adjustments during the board meeting. So a couple different ways we could go about that.
Okay.
Well, I simply move that we add draft language stating in some form that we will not be purposefully trying to coerce children to transition. Thank you.
I just think that's very specific for a resolution for what we're looking for.
Yeah, it's very specific.
Yeah. I feel like that's not something that we should discuss because it's not an agendized item. I do feel like you would have the opportunity to bring that back up when that item comes up in June. Does that make sense? I mean, when we can make a motion, you can make a motion to adopt this resolution with the modification of insert your language. And I would suggest maybe sending it out ahead of time so we all have a chance to review it. I don't know that any of us are prepared to, without seeing how it fits with the rest of the resolution. I would also add that it's kind of going out of the bounds of this, but I feel like what you're trying to do right now is to paint us in this picture or this corner that looks like by not accepting your motion, that somehow that's going to be twisted to be assumed to be the opposite, which is also not true. So I just wanted to state that for the record as well.
It's a very simple proposition. I'm just suggesting we add draft, language to an item that's going to be on a future agenda, saying that we won't do this thing that a number of us now have declared that we don't want to do, so I don't know why it would be controversial, but apparently it is.
So we'd
What's the
either
motion?
need to vote to bring this back, or, as we have already said, it will come back at our June meeting with the LCAP. If we want it back earlier, the board would need to vote to do that. If it's okay coming back in June, we'll do that.
I'm still confused as to whether the motion on the table is to just bring the resolution back or bring the resolution back with specific language.
Let me restate the motion. I move we add draft language to the resolution that is coming back in June that would clarify that district personnel will not encourage children to transition.
So I think I understand what you're asking. I don't know, because this agenda item is to agendize an item.
So we could agendize a conversation in the next meeting about the language before the resolution itself comes back.
So if I understand it correctly, you're not asking that we agendize the item, you're just asking that we change the language.
Well,
Which
it
wouldn't-
would just be adding draft language, because the way the resolution was before, it didn't have a point on that, which parents probably
Right.
would have appreciated. This, since it's a parent's resolution, would benefit from that draft language being added in.
Yeah, I totally understand that part. I'm just,
But we can't take
what we're
action.
doing right now is either adding an agenda item or waiting until June. Because this agenda item is board members' request to agendize an item.
I guess I just feel that adding a draft language makes it germane to adding or clarifying an agenda item. I think this clarifies an agenda item. That vis-a-vis Brown Act may not have, that language possibly would be, somebody could maybe find some objection based on the fact that it maybe just got introduced right that very same evening, and so there wasn't time for it to be posted properly, and so I'm throwing it out there as something that I think should be added in. But if I'm alone in that sentiment, then I'm alone. So I've made my motion.
I think I would just recommend, since there's not a second, but I would recommend perhaps you submit the similar resolution and propose changes to language ahead of the meeting so it can be included in the agenda packet. Okay. Thank you. Are there other items anybody would like to agendize? All right, seeing none this evening, I will call for a move for adjournment.
I move adjournment.
All right, so moved. This meeting is adjourned.